Hey everybody, welcome to this video about another real-life math problem brought to you by Math Guy Tutoring Services. So today's problem involves different types of fuel, and it's a question that I've had for myself for a while, and maybe you had too, but maybe you see this every day like I do, that you go to Quick Trip or Quick Star if you're in Iowa, and you see these two different types of gasolines being offered. You see regular unleaded gasoline, and then you see unleaded 88 gasoline. And at least here in Minnesota, and it's been this way for a while, unleaded 88 is consistently 10 cents cheaper than regular unleaded gasoline. And so I've wondered for myself, okay, what is this unleaded 88? Like, is it cheap? Obviously it's cheaper. Is it better for my vehicle? Am I actually going to save money here? Is it safe for my vehicle? I don't know. I had to do some research. And so I found some resources that were credible, that were they're all about unleaded 88 and different types of fuels. And so they're going to give me information that's hopefully not biased in the wrong ways. And so one fact that was very interesting and that we'll actually use to solve the problem today is that E88 gas gets 2% less fuel economy versus regular gasoline. And so you'll see a little bit less fuel economy with E88 than you'll see with regular unleaded. Second thing was that it is safer for the environment. E88 will burn cleaner. I don't know all the science behind that. I'm not going to pretend to know, but it's better for the environment than regular unleaded, at least as far as, the vehicle using it and burning it goes. Um, Next thing was that E88 gas stays cheaper by, at least here in Minnesota, by government corn subsidies. Ethanol, the thing that they put into, all gasoline, but unleaded 88 has a little bit more ethanol in it. That is, the government pays, corn farmers or maybe the manufacturers. I don't know how that all works, but to make that process cheaper so that they can produce ethanol cheap, less expensively than they would otherwise be able to. And then this last fact is that it's approved, like explicitly approved by vehicle manufacturers only for certain newer vehicles, the year 2012 plus, depending upon the make and model of your vehicle. And this was interesting information, like the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, it's a government organization. They did their own research on unleaded 88 gasoline, and they found that it was actually safe to use in vehicles 2001 and newer, unless if the manufacturer said otherwise. I'm not sure what to do with that information. For myself, I kind of trust the vehicle manufacturer a little. They know they've built the vehicle, they know it inside and out, they know, the science. That's their job to like know these things. They're saying that, okay, it's absolutely safe to use in vehicles that are 2012 and newer. Again, based upon the vehicle, do your own research there. Um, but what we're trying to figure out today is this, mathematically at least, is E88 gas worth it? And so I compiled a bunch of information into a word problem. Here's what it looks like. Quick Trip sells both unleaded 88, or E88 for short, and regular unleaded gas. The price of E88 is $3.54 a gallon, and the price of regular is $3.64 a gallon. With regular gasoline, Guy's car gets 26 miles per gallon, or MPG. How much does Guy save on E88 gas after driving 300 miles? So if you'd like, pause this video, try this problem out yourself if you want that challenge. Otherwise, you can just stick around and I'll go through this problem. So there is a lot of information here. We're comparing two different types of gasoline. So we have unleaded 88, we have regular unleaded gas. We also have the prices per gallon of those gasolines, so 354 and 364. On top of all that, we have the fuel economy in miles per gallon. And then we have the length of driving, the amount of miles that we're driving. And so I want to make some equations and relate all of these things to each other as best as I can. And so we start with just a really basic equation for each of these. I'm going to start with just regular unleaded gas. Okay, I'm going to make an equation for both regular unleaded and the E88 eventually. But here's what I know is that if I take the miles driven and I divide that by the fuel economy, which is miles per gallon, that is going to give me the amount of gallons of gas that I need for the trip. Okay, or the amount I'm going to need after driving so many miles. So I'm going to take the information from my problem here. I know that I have 300 miles that I'm driving, and I picked 300 because that's about how far my car can drive before I need to fill it up again. And I have my fuel economy of 26 mpg. So I'm going to plug those in and make an equation out of that. So here I'm going to have 300 miles that I drove divided by the fuel economy, 26, is going to give me the gallons of gas that I need for regular. I'm going to put G sub R to just say, okay, this is regular gasoline that I'm talking about. I could use a different variable, whatever, but this is what I'm doing. All right, let's set up an equation then. All right, so this is for our regular unleaded gasoline. Use a different color here. We want to set up an equation for, whoops, E88 gas. So, same thing, we have miles driven. However, we don't know what the fuel economy is for this E88 gasoline. And so we have to use a different variable, or I'm just going to use a kind of a placeholder. I'm going to say miles per gallon. I'm going to put a little E down there, all right, to say this is for ethanol. Um, and that's going to be equal to, well, what? The gallons of ethanol, G sub E, that I need in order to complete this 300-mile trip or drive 300 miles. So we have to figure out one of the other things. We have to be able to figure out this guy right here, the miles per gallon. Actually, I'm going to use a highlighter to kind of show what I'm doing here because I don't want to put a negative symbol. We need to either be able to figure out miles per gallon of E or the miles per gallon or the amount of gallons of ethanol fuel that I need. What I'm going to find is this one right here. Oops. Technical difficulties, y'all. I'm going to figure out the miles per gallon of ethanol that I need. How am I going to do that? Well, we're going to pull information from what we had before, specifically this 2% less fuel economy for E88 gas versus regular gasoline. How am I going to do that? I'm going to set up a proportion. So I know, okay, we're comparing the fuel economy, or rather, let's do it like this. The fuel economy of regular gas to the fuel economy of unleaded 88. I'm just going to use an X there. And then since it's a proportion, I know that these things are related by percent, so I can set up a proportion. The fuel economy of regular is going to be my 100% or my 100. The fuel economy of X is going to be 2 less than that. It's going to be 98. And so I can cross multiply now and divide out and get that answer. So I'm going to do 26 by 98. I'm using a calculator because that's just a little too much for my brain just now. 2548 is the answer there. And then we're going to get 100x. How do I get x? Well, I divide by 100. So that's going to give me 25.48 for x. What did x represent again? Well, that was my miles. Okay, this was my miles per gallon of ethanol fuel. So I can go and take this and substitute that into the problem that I had before. So substituting that in, I'll just rewrite everything below. Still have my 300-mile trip. I have 25.48 equal to the gallons of ethanol required. So now I can go and simplify each of these things. I'm going to simplify this right here, okay? So I can get my gallons of regular gas that I would need to purchase for my trip or for my 300 miles. And then I'm going to get the gallons of ethanol gas that I'm going to need if I simplify both of these things. So my top equation, 300 divided by 26. The gallons, oops, I need to use a pen, not a highlighter. The gallons of regular gas that I'm going to need if I round it to decimal places is 11.54. And the gallons of ethanol gas that I'm going to need, again, calculator 300 divided by 25.48 is going to be 11.77 gallons. Now, what do I do with that? Well, I want to get the total cost that I would have to pay for my trip. So I know that the price of regular gasoline is $3.64. And if I multiply that by the gallons that I'm going to need, that's going to give me the total cost of how much the price of regular is going to be. So if I do that, 3.64 times 11.54, my tank of gas is going to cost me $41.86. Then I do the same thing for my ethanol gas or my E88 gas. That's $3.54 a gallon, and I'm going to need 11.77 gallons of it. So again, calculator 3.54 times 11.77. What's my total cost going to be? It's going to be $41.67. All right, so this, just to remind us, this is our regular gas up here, and this is our E88 gas down here. So, is there a savings? Well, we subtract these things from each other, right? What's the difference end up being? We subtract, we get a 19-cent savings. All right, so we have solved this. All right, how much does, looking at my problem again, how much does Guy save on E88 gas after driving 300 miles? Well, according to our math, that answer is 19 cents. So, going back to the original problem, is unleaded 88 worth it? Mathematically, yes. All right. Not by much, but we do save 19 cents a gallon. So mathematically, is it worth it? Absolutely. All right. We are going to save money, 19 cents every time that we fill up our tank. That's awesome. Ethically, though, I don't know how to answer that question, right? Like there is, are you okay with government, paying off farmers and, or manufacturers or whatever the case is? And again, there is that thing that, the vehicle manufacturers are saying different things about the safety of it, for your vehicle versus the government. So I don't know. But again, if you're looking to save a little bit of money every time, unleaded 88 gas does end up being worth it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like it if that was the case for you. Subscribe to this channel if you like seeing content like this. And let me know in the comments below what you thought about this problem, if it was helpful or if it wasn't. But then also if there's any other type of real life math problems that you've kind of been curious about and you'd like to see me solve or try to come up with an answer to, I'd love to hear that from you. So take care, friends.